Welcome to the Smart Fit. Today we're taking you to one of the classiest cities in the USA, my hometown Chicago, and home of the deep dish pizza. Everything is just like in the movies, from pizza spinning to cheese pool, and what better place than to go after walking through Millennium Park, but drop into GIORDANOS. So follow me and let's see what's good. GIORDANOS is an American pizzeria specializing in the Chicago-style deep dish pizza. There are many locations throughout the city, but the one downtown next to Millennium Park is the best for its consistency. You can try other popular chains specializing in this style of pizza, but in our opinion, this place is the best. What did I say? It's like in the movies, everyone is happy. If you want to learn how to make this pizza at home, we've got you covered. We're going to give you our recipe for this pizza, and we're so confident we won't disappoint. We won't be spinning any pizzas on our fingers though, we're not that talented. After we remembered we came here to eat, we sat down on the patio and ordered a bottle of red wine. If this pizza is anything like I remember, it's going to be meaty, cheesy, flavorful, and saucy. Before digging in, we decided to start with a Greek salad. It was tangy and perfect, refreshing right before the main dish came in. This is exactly what we came for, and at first sight, this doesn't disappoint. Crust is a perfect golden brown, the sauce is bright red, sprinkled with Parmesan cheese, and we can't wait to try this. Our first test was the cheese pool, and it kept going and going and going and going so far, I had to use both hands to make sure it didn't fall, and it still kept going. This, for the picture and show, is a win on its own. Crust, cheese, sauce, and pepperoni. Did you know pepperoni is actually an American food? I promise, look it up. The first bite was so good that before I knew it, almost half of my slice was gone. Let me try to describe it. Imagine a crispy cracker crunch followed by a doughy, soft inside. Then you have the meaty and flavorful Italian sausage and pepperoni, full of herbs and spices that make your mind wild trying to figure it out. Next, the melted mozzarella, and lots of it, has a straightforward milky and light grassy taste. To top it off, literally, the tangy tomato sauce helps balance the cheese and meaty layers perfectly. Every single bite is, like I said, perfect, and makes you wonder why you don't eat this every day. But we all know why. Because if we did, then there wouldn't be any more cloudy days, and we'd underappreciate the good life. Also, if you haven't noticed, you eat this with a knife and fork because 1, we're from Chicago and have class, 2, it's big and bold like everything Chicago, and 3, it's not your normal flaccid pizza you hang over your mouth and slap your cheeks with. There, I said it. Now it is true you might get so excited you need to put your hands on it and eat it old school. Just so you know, one small deep dish pizza is enough to feed 2 hungry and fit individuals or even a family of 4. And we left so happy, it hit the spot. So good, Chicago. Now let me give you our recipe. As happy as we were when we left GIORDANOS, we're proud enough to say we think our recipe is better. Yeah, our deep dish pizza is the best we've ever had. To reintroduce it, this is the thickest, baddest, flavorful, and satiating pizza, the one and only Chicago deep dish pizza. I know there are some people around the world that say it's not pizza, especially those talkers from New York. But I'm here to say that not only is it pizza, but it's the only one that can fill you up with one slice. It's true this isn't built in the traditional manner, but to hold its structure under the weight of the cheese, sauce, and ingredients, you've got to make it stronger. And if you want to be stronger with broad shoulders like people from Chicago, then you must eat Chicago pizza like this. From start to finish in only 2 hours, call your family and friends and tell them to come over because you're taking them to Chicago. Let's make this. I'd have to say, it's all about the dough. It's the dough show. Warm 275 milliliters of water up to 38C or 100 F. Create a mini vortex and add 8 grams of instant yeast to the warm water. And let it bloom and make sure it's still alive. Let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes or however long it takes you to do the following. Look, you can mix this by hand, but I don't feel like doing that right now. So I use the KitchenAid, add 450 grams of bread flour. Next, the not so secret ingredient which makes our dough, the Chicago dough special, add 55 grams of coarsely ground cornmeal. To season the dough, add 10 grams of sea salt and 5 grams of white sugar. Instead of sifting the dry ingredients, I've learned that you can just take a whisk and whisk them all together to get smooth and incorporated. The yeast is bubbly, demonstrating signs of life, so we're ready. Turn the mixer to medium-low and slowly pour in the water and yeast. Just a reminder, all of the ingredients and instructions are in the description below. It's going to look dry, but don't worry because we've got some lubricating to make the magic happen. To obtain a crispy crust, we need oil in the dough. Add 25 milliliters of olive oil for crispiness and depth of flavor. Follow up with another 25 milliliters of a neutral flavor oil to add additional crispiness. And if you like this video so far, like and subscribe. To make the dough fluffy and buttery, we need anchovies. I'm just kidding. I wanted to make sure you were still listening. Obviously, we need to add softened butter a little at a time. Okay, so I got excited and added too much butter at once. Don't worry, just grab a spatula and very, very carefully push it down to incorporate. Don't stick your hand or fingers in there. This is real life and the machine will mix them into the dough. At first, it looks like a disaster, but give it some time and after about 7 minutes or so, the dough will come together and release from the sides of the bowl. When it looks ready, drop it onto, I forgot to flour the board. And now you get to see what happens when you forget to flour the board. Clean it up with a dough scraper, flour your surface, dump the dough back on, and lightly flour the top just in case. Stretch and fold a few times by pulling the dough away from you, folding it onto itself, rotating 90 degrees and repeating 8 times. Flip it over and start to form a ball by pulling it underneath the dough and rotating 90 degrees or constantly rotating and tucking the edges underneath until the top is taut. Oil a large bowl so the dough doesn't stick. Carefully scoop the dough and place it in the bowl where it will rise in a warm place covered for 1 hour. One of the best things about this recipe is we do not waste time. While the dough rises for 1 hour, we can preheat the oven and the pizza stone to 250°C or 480°F. The pizza stone and rack should be placed on the bottom rack, which will blast the bottom of the pizza with heat, leading to a crispier crust while not burning the tomato sauce on top. Speaking of tomato sauce, it's time to make it. Finely dice 1 small onion, place a large saucepan over medium heat, to which we add 3 tablespoons or 45 milliliters of olive oil and your onions. Let them sweat and turn translucent, but not brown. At this point, press 4 cloves of garlic and mix to get rid of the pungent smell until it becomes pleasantly fragrant. Add 780 grams of crushed tomatoes, stirring to disperse the onions and garlic. Add 1 teaspoon or 5 grams of sea salt and 1 teaspoon or 5 grams of sugar. Yes, in Chicago, we add sugar to our pizza sauce to balance the acidity of the tomatoes, making it more mellow. And do not forget 1 teaspoon or 5 grams of dried oregano because, well, it's pizza. Stir to combine, and then I want to show you what it looks like when I drag the spatula through the sauce. The sauce almost immediately rejoins and comes together. Let simmer over medium-low heat for 15 to 20 minutes. If you got a splatter guard, this is the time to use it because if you don't, things are going to get really messy. Didn't I say we weren't going to waste any time? I've experimented with different cheese, but for a real Chicago experience, you need sliced mozzarella and provolone. If you can find them in blocks, then freshly grate them yourself. In total, use 400 grams mozzarella and 150 grams provolone. To 400 grams of ground pork, add 2 teaspoons or 10 grams of sea salt, 1 teaspoon or 5 grams freshly cracked black pepper, 1 teaspoon or 5 grams garlic powder, 1 teaspoon or 5 grams onion powder, half a teaspoon smoked paprika, half a teaspoon oregano, half a teaspoon thyme, half a teaspoon basil, and most importantly, 1 tablespoon or 15 grams of toasted fennel seeds. Oh, and I almost forgot, 1 teaspoon or 5 grams of sugar. Gently mix the spices and meat around. I said be gentle because if you mistreat your meat, it'll become hard and dry, but you want juicy sausage. Back to the sauce. After 15 minutes, the sauce holds. I know it looks like it's slow motion, but it's not. The sauce is so thick, Moses would have saved all the animals in his ark through this Red Sea. Speaking of vessels, you have options. We're going to use probably the best option for this recipe, the cast iron skillet, which will deliver the crispiest crust. However, divide the dough into 2 and you can have twin Chicago style pizzas. How cute. Also, a spring cake pan works great too. To a 12-inch or 30.84 centimeter cast iron skillet, add 2 tablespoons or 30 milliliters of olive oil. Swirl it around to make the bottom so glossy you see your beautiful image in the reflection. We do this because I'm tired of people who don't eat the crust. This makes the crust crispy to the edge, flavorful and strong to hold the ingredients. Plop the dough, which has been rising for 1 hour, into the pan and start from the middle, push it out to the borders. Start working the dough up the edges, but as you can see, the gluten fights back and pulls the edge back down. So rather than fight, let's make peace and let it rest for 5 minutes. Pizza stone and the oven are hot, the dough is at peace, so now is the moment to attack. Working up the edges, even over the edge so it sticks. Add the grated cheese first. Yes, cheese first. Look, I know this isn't how normal pizzas are built, but this isn't a normal pizza, it's better. Provolone set, layer on the slices of mozzarella starting from the edge and working towards the middle, using any extra slices to fit any bare parts. In order to get a piece of sausage in every single bite, we have to make a giant burger patty. So flatten the sausage out until you can completely cover the cheese. I know this is crazy, but there's a method to the madness. Take pieces of sausage and smash it between your hands, then place it on top of the cheese. Do not overlap the meat. It is really important the meats be in one thin single layer so it cooks completely. Now dollop all the crushed tomato sauce on top and evenly spread it all the way to the edges with a spoon. Finally, add freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano. Immediately place the pizza on top of the pizza stone, which is on the lowest rack in your oven. Lower the temperature to 220°C or 430°F and set the timer for 25 minutes. Close the door and the magic begins. Right now the pan is super hot, making the dough rise and frying the exterior to seal in the ingredients. While I went on that rant, you have to brown for 3 minutes on the top and then brown 3 minutes on the stove top to ensure everything's cooked. As the dough rises, it pushes the melted cheese up and through the sausage. The sausage is not only being cooked by the molten hot cheese rising underneath, but also by the bubbling lava-like tomato sauce sitting on top of it. And follow that up with 3 minutes on the stove top over medium heat to ensure the center is completely cooked. After a little work, you have Chicago style pizza. We have literally delivered a taste of Chicago to your home. Do not eat yet, or else you will, number 1, burn your entire mouth and will not enjoy another bite. Number 2, destroy the structure of the pizza and all the inside will run out, resulting in a soupy mess. And number 3, I said wait 10 to 15 minutes from experience. So wait, thank you. The moment of truth, and every time I do this, I hold my breath. With strength and lots of confidence, I mean lots of confidence, slide the pizza out of the pan and more cheese never hurt anyone except maybe your arteries, so sprinkle a little on top. With the largest knife you've got, start cutting from the center all the way to the edge. Take a spatula, lift and go for the cheese pool, lifting as high as you can and marvel at its glory. Yeah, you can make this just like in the movies. It has a crispy and buttery crust, cheese oozing out of the sides, a layer of perfectly seasoned Italian sausage, and a tomato sauce that's acidic enough to balance out the cheese and sausage, yet sweet enough to make you want to eat it on its own. And there you have it. Whether or not this is pizza is still up for debate, but I can guarantee you that one bite of this and you won't care about anything more than taking another bite. For me, it's real. It tastes like Chicago and it makes me happy. It's a comfort food and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Comfort you.